Hi guys, it's Jim here. Today I'm making a video on anxiety. Now I've tried making this video a number of times, but the truth is I've been suffering with anxiety a lot myself recently, and it felt almost dishonest and hypocritical making a video about anxiety management when I can't really control my own anxiety. But I suppose it's just a good example to show you that even when you think you've got things under control, life can still get on top of you. In this video I'm going to be sharing some tips and techniques that I've either learnt over the years or developed from my own personal experience. I have to start off by saying that obviously I'm not a healthcare professional, and that if you are struggling from anxiety, please go and seek professional help. I'm briefly now just going to talk about anxiety medication before I get onto the meat of the video. Now, anxiety medication are also known as anxiolytics, anxio meaning anxiety and lysis meaning to break down, and they come in two main categories. The first are antidepressants, and the way they work is they alter the concentration of monoamines such as serotonin and norepinephrine or noradrenaline, it's also known. And to be honest, we're not quite sure how that works in anxiety, but we think what it does, it changes the function of the amygdala, which modulates your response to emotional events. The second category are known as minor tranquilizers. Now, some of these drugs there's nothing minor about, it's just to distinguish from major tranquilizers such as antipsychotics. And those come in two categories. The first are antiepileptics, like Lyrica I've got here, or pregabalin as it's known generically. And the way they work is they affect the amount of a chemical called gamma-aminobutyric acid, also known as GABA, and that modulates neuronal excitement. So it kind of just brings down your response neurologically to stressors and to anxiety triggers. And now the second category are known as benzodiazepines, or benzos for short. Now these are drugs that I've taken on and off since I was 15. And the drugs that I would not recommend to anyone. Only in extreme circumstances do I think you should be taking them. They can become extremely addictive. Your body gets a tolerance very quickly. You need to take more and more for the same effect. And they make you feel extremely groggy. I've been on a number of them, you know, Valium, Ativan, Librium, the list goes on. I've taken so many benzos and I've never been a fan of them, and I outright refuse to take them, which is why I'm now on an anti-epileptic. Now my first tip is work out what your triggers are. Work out what sounds, what situations, what environments cause anxiety for you. And it is important to find out what those triggers are for you, because if you don't know what those triggers are, you don't know what situations are likely to cause anxiety for you, and you don't know how to deal with those or avoid those situations. So it is important that you work out what you trigger. Now the first technique I'm going to teach you is about breathing. If you can control your breathing, you can control your anxiety. And this is just a very simple technique that you can use in the middle of any situation or just at home, just to bring down your anxiety levels. And I call it the alternate nostril breathing. I don't know what the actual name is for it is, but it's a very simple technique. What you need to do is get your hand and leave your pinky and your thumb out. Put your hand to your face, cover your right nostril, breathe in through your left, and then you move your pinky onto your nostril and your thumb away. And you breathe out through your right nostril. Then you inhale through your right. You put your thumb on your nostril and your pinky away, and breathe out through your left. And you repeat that, alternating up, down, up, down. I don't know how it works, but it just does, and it's very effective. You know, if you're on the verge of having a panic attack, or if you've had a panic attack, it helps to very quickly recover. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is barriers. Now it's a common myth that all anxiety is bad. Now that's just not true. Anxiety is vital It's what kept our ancestors alive from threats and predators, and it's something that we need in our lives. Otherwise we'd have a carefree life, but it'd be very, very short. Now, anxiety is a response to threat. Now, when it becomes an issue is when there is no threat, or the reaction is too extreme to a threat that doesn't exist, or to a small threat. Now, barriers are a great tool for using in crowded areas. Now, I'm not talking about barricading yourself in somewhere, it's just creating physical barriers. You can get your friends to create a barrier, and it's a way that subconsciously reduces your anxiety. If there is physical barriers between you and the threat, that might be other people, and I found this has been extremely useful for me. Even, you know, just putting a table between you and other people. It's important not to be frightened, to remove yourself from a situation for a few minutes to get some air. A lot of anxiety can build up when you feel trapped, and just by removing yourself from that situation, you're telling your body that you are able to leave and you are not trapped, and that will just reduce your anxiety. Just by leaving for a couple of minutes just to get some air, you can use the breathing techniques, you know, to try and just gain some control. And then when you go back, you'll feel a lot less anxious, because subconsciously you now know that you're not trapped in that situation, and if you want to, you are able to leave. Now, my last tip is just about exposure. It's important not to avoid situations that make you anxious, because mentally those situations gain more gravity, and it makes it a lot harder for you, and creates a lot more anxiety going into those situations. So it's important to expose yourself to your triggers in a controlled way, and slowly, once you start doing that more and more, you'll notice that your anxiety reduces as you subconsciously realize that there is no threat in those situations. You know, there is no harm to you, there's nothing that's going to hurt you, and that will just it'll build your confidence as well, that, you know, you can stay in those situations, you can be around crowded people, but it's important you do that in a controlled way. And again, this is where your friends and family come in. Well, that wraps up this video. I could go on for ages and ages about techniques and tips, but I just wanted to make a short video about some of the main techniques and tips that I have. Now, I may make other videos if people find this useful, but for now I think I'm going to just leave it there. Thanks for watching.